Greetings and salutations. Welcome to episode 105 of Ref the District. I'm Nathan Perry. That's Trev, and that's the Stoner. And we've got a great episode for you here live on YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter, as we always are every Wednesday at 7:30 Eastern. Of course, you can catch us afterwards as well on your favorite audio platforms. Wherever you are listening, make sure you're subscribed. Make sure you like the content where you're at. That helps other people see the show. And that's the support that you can provide us. Of course, Super Chat is always open here on YouTube as well. We appreciate those people who use that. But we also got a few sponsorships to make sure that you keep getting the great content that you like and that you keep coming back for. So we appreciate everybody joining. If you're in the comment section, make sure you drop us a note. Let us know what you're thinking about today's topics, because we got some hot ones to talk about here in the cool down. We'll be talking about Washington. Is it an attractive spot for a QB to come? We are doing our QB series, Press Your Luck series, and Tom Brady's was released on Monday. So make sure you go check that one out. And I said we will not talk about whether or not he would come to Washington, just what you think about him as a Washington Commander. So we will debate Tom Brady and whether or not he would actually come here during this conversation. We'll also talk about the guy who's coming up on Thursday's show, a little sneak peek for that one as well. Then during the game, we're going to be talking about Washington's free agents. Who should they re-sign to the team? I've got a whole list. Of course, the big one, Daron Payne. Get ready for that conversation. Are they going to Payne the man? We'll see. They are in the warm-up. Sponsored to you by Skybar. Head out to Lexington, Virginia, and go to the Skybar. See Trev in person. If you mention Ref the District, your first drink is on us. So make sure you do that. Someone's got to take advantage of that, man. Just drive to Lexington just to get yourself a free drink and hang out with Trev. That's worth the drive, in my opinion. Here in the warm-up, that's sponsored by Skybar. We're going to be talking about the Bezos news. That was a big topic earlier in this week, believe it or not, on whether or not he was going to have to sell the Washington Post, or was going to sell the Post to buy and to be a part of the purchase for the Commanders. Lots of smoke on that one. Didn't turn out to be much, but we're going to give our opinions on that one. Likewise, we normally keep the flagship program here, our Wednesday show, to the Commanders, but we are a DC sports channel. We like to talk all DC sports. We just didn't have a time to fit in the Rui trade. Rui Hachimura traded from the Washington Wizards. Not going to be a separate video here on the channel because we've got 2 QB videos loaded and our show today. So we're going to be talking about it right here in the warm-up. Now, Stoner, you're the biggest Wizards fan here. And I say that, not surprising, as we know Trev is a fan
you guys
of the
are
Bulls.
traders. No,
And I'm an OKC Thunder guy, but I've enjoyed Russell Westbrook's time here. Made me enjoy the Wizards.
Yeah.
I will say this: they are not a fun team to watch for me this year. But
the Wizards or OKC?
The Wizards. OKC is still a fun team to watch. I mean, they got some young guys that are exciting. Giddey, SGA. I don't really like watching $250 million be wasted. And a guy who we do like, the unicorn, who's never on the court.
That.
And then whether or not a guy is going to be
games,
and whether or not a guy is going to be re-signed, it's just not exciting to me. And now they get rid of one of the young guys that they traded. They traded away one of their young guys that people like. One of Tommy's own picks. Stoner, how do you justify this?
Well, you certainly don't justify the pick. Okay, look, Rui Hachimura, picked number 9 in the 2019 draft, was not a good pick. Okay, he's not that good of a player. He's an average player. There's 75 guys just like Rui out there. So you can't justify him making that pick, Tommy Shepard making that pick. Okay. That's fine. But trading him is no problem. You traded him for basically nothing. You got 3 second-round picks and Kendrick Nunn, who is the third guard in LA. So that's fine. You traded him for basically nothing. But he isn't, he's a guy. He's a Jag. He averages 13 points and 4 rebounds for a guy who's 6'8" playing power forward. So I don't have any problem with the trade because for two reasons. One, as Tommy Shepard said on air yesterday in the middle of the game, this is going to open up the opportunities for Avdia. They see Avdia as a better player than Rui. So this is going to open up minutes for him because Rui did deserve some minutes. It's not like he was terrible. So that's one. And two, they weren't going to re-sign Rui anyway. Okay? Because they're trying to sign Kyle Kuzma. Kyle Kuzma, difference maker. Kyle Kuzma, building block. Kyle Kuzma, future. Rui is none of those three.
If the Wizards,
I don't hear anybody pushing back on that.
You guys know I'm a Denny guy, so I'm good. If Denny gets more minutes out of this, I think that's a net positive. I also would say I don't think Rui's bad. I would say that
I don't think he's bad either.
I think that Rui doesn't necessarily fit what Wes Unseld Jr. wants to do. I think that he does bring some offense, even though he only averages 13 points a game. He is capable of a 30-point game, right? He is capable of knocking down, the 3-point shot and stretching the court. Got it. I'm not saying consistently, but come on, Stoner. Do we need to bring up Davis Bertans? You loved that guy.
No. Don't compare him to anybody but himself.
Yeah.
Okay? He's capable of hitting 30 1 out of every 10 games.
Yeah.
Okay?
He's never blossomed here. We were always waiting for that breakout season from him. It never came. I get it. And like I said, I like Denny. I think Denny fits what Wes Unseld wants to do. Rui's defense is never great.
Right.
And, Denny is known for being more of a defensive guy. Wes is more of a defensive guy. So I think, and we're starting to see Denny maybe playmaker. It's going to be interesting. I just think that when you look at Washington's first round draft picks, they're not doing so hot.
No excuse for that.
And yes, I know it's hard to get a star when you're picking mid, teens. Or 9 as they did here with Rui. Like, you're really only going to get a star if you tank really bad. You get one of those top picks, but there are other ways to at least become a competitive team, and getting back a bench player in a couple seconds isn't doing it. So Stoner, what happens if they do not re-sign Kuzma?
Well, then it's a big fiery disaster because really that's what they're trying to do. And I'm pushing back against Yam. Yam hates the Wizards. He hates Tommy Shepard and all that. And I get it. I totally get it. But Kuz is this far. Look at me, Trev. Kuz is this far from stardom.
From what?
From stardom.
From what?
This close from being an all-star. This close to being an all-star. He's over 22 points a game. And if you just watch him play. He can create his shot from anywhere, all 3 levels. He can drive. He has a good eye for passing. He's an excellent passer. He's an excellent rebounder. He's 6'10", and he can do things that most 6'10" guys cannot do.
He's got style
from anywhere. Okay? So listen.
His fashion game is better than his game on the court.
His what?
His fashion game is better than this game.
His fashion game is worse, but I get what you're saying. It's more stylish, but I can't see it. But listen, he's this close, Trev, and I know people want to hate or whatever on Kuzma because all they do is just they look at that fashion thing and all that. But listen, he plays his butt off. He's durable, right? He's there every night. I believe he's missed 1 game this year. He can play different positions. He can play anywhere from the center to a guard. He can bring the ball up. He can do everything. And he can score. He can shoot. He can bail you out of shot clock situations. Rui could do none of that. All you could do with Rui is dump it down to him and with his back to the basket, and he can make some moves and get some shots. And he could run the floor a little bit, and he could shoot a mid-range. His 3-point shot especially from last year, has gone right down in the toilet this year. So he's not a great 3-point shooter. He's a decent. He's an average player. Kuz is the guy. I'm telling you. And the last thing I'll say on this, unless you ask me, the last thing I'll say unasked is that the three of them, Porzingis, Beal, and Kuzma, have played a total of 21 games together in the entire time they've been here. Yes, it's injury, and that concerns you, right? But they're 11-10 in those 21 games.
That's awful.
That's not awful.
Thank you.
Number one, it's not awful.
That's barely above 500.
Number one, that's not awful. Okay? It's way better than what it is when one of them's not there. Okay? And number two, they've only had 21 games to develop and build this chemistry together.
So you trade
Give
away
them
your
82 games. Give them a full season to develop. Now, injuries might prevent that, but I'm saying give it some time. They haven't had time to develop this team, these three guys playing together. Give it time before you say blow it up.
No, you have to blow it up. Why do you blow it up? You should have never went and got KP in the first place because you knew about his injury history before he got there, supposedly, right? He never finished a season in New York or Dallas, so why go get him? Get him?
He did have one full season in New York.
Okay, one full season.
I'm just saying. I'm not saying he's durable. I'm disputing what you're saying.
You said give it time. There's no more time to give. You knew what was going to happen when you brought him in here. It's injury prone. Bradley Beal's
not even a full season.
Why do you? That's the point. He can't finish a full season since the one in New York. So you knew this was going to happen when you signed him.
This is his first injury this year, Trev. He's played all but
for the record, he's never played 82 game season.
Thank you.
He's never finished an 82.
Nobody does. Nobody plays 82 game seasons. Okay,
I don't think you can say a full season. He got 71 as
what's
KP?
What's Kristaps Porzingis known for?
72. Sorry.
What's he known for?
For being a heck of a player.
No, for being always injured. You knew that when you signed him.
He hasn't been injured since this season.
It doesn't matter when. It doesn't matter when it happens. It's inevitable of happening. So it's not. They're not going to have a full
that's
continuity at all. So there's that. Bradley Beal, he needs to be gone because we already know that. Okay, he needs to be gone. He's not dependable. He's not the guy. He's a 2 or 3 at best, and we all know that. We're just brainwashed because he's been.
So why can't KP be the one and
because he can't stay healthy? That's the problem.
Give him a chance. He's been here for all of a half a season.
You can't give them a chance if you know Kristaps Porzingis is bound to get injured.
You don't.
What are you waiting for? You do. Everybody but the Washington Wizards knew that, bro. Why do you think it came to Washington so easy for nothing? No one else wanted him. Why? Because he can't finish a season. He can't stay healthy. He can't stay healthy when it matters. We got people like DeLon Wright showing out for Washington. Somebody put the stat they're 11-6 with him playing 11 when DeLon Wright, who's a Jag. Let's be honest. Come on. So then you trade away Rui when you have KP going out for injury. Your depth is who? What's his name? Taj Gibson, Anthony Gill, and then Daniel Gafford. And you trade away Rui for what? For Denny?
And a guy you won't play, by the way, Vern.
Yeah, for Denny?
Mm-hmm.
I think you should have let him ride it out, let Rui develop, and then let him go. You didn't have to trade away Rui.
Rui's had 4 years to develop, and he hasn't.
So what do you? Okay, that's all right.
Rui never blossomed.
He's not going to develop.
So it's fine.
That's how we started on Rui.
I'm happy, but I mean,
here, but
I'm not mad to trade at all. I'm happy. I'm glad he went to the Lakers because I love LeBron. So anywhere LeBron goes, I go.
Are the Lakers the only team Washington knows how to trade with? Like there are
2
other
trades.
teams.
2 trades. 2.
Well, they got 4 players out of those 2 trades. If you think about
they
it,
just a lot of Lakers.
Troy Brown, Thomas Bryant, Russell Westbrook, and now they have
no.
Troy was a free agent. I know Thomas
Troy
Brown
Jr. was a free agent. Thomas Bryant was a free agent. So you're pushing these narratives that aren't true.
We're pushing
That's
the buttons is what
nuts.
we're doing.
What drives me nuts is your profound love for Kyle Kuzma. Like he's the second thing that's best in sliced bread to ever walk through DC. John Wall is way better than Kyle Kuzma was
right now.
And I've never
we got to mention that. We got to mention. We had to bring up John Wall. Wow.
Yeah, man.
We went there.
I mean, John, you're saying back then.
Yeah, Kyle Kuzma.
Yeah, okay. I mean, John Wall is nothing right now, but I'm saying right now, Kyle Kuzma is at that point right now. He's on the verge of stardom, and when he makes an All-Star game in the next couple of years, then you're going to say, man, that Stoner, he's a bright MFer.
He has no choice. He's the only one that can stay healthy on the team.
Well, it's interesting that Stoner here is talking about Rui.
That's not true.
Rui not, he's had 4 years in the league and he's not shown enough. He's not going to burst into stardom and all that kind of stuff. 4 years. Okay.
What is Kyle Kuzma doing?
4 years into the NBA, Kuzma was averaging 11.1 points.
Mm-hmm.
Hello.
You just said that Rui's averaging 13 points.
Okay, but go back to year 3 and year 2 and year 1 with Kuzma.
Kuzma, 11 points, 15-5 year 2, 13-5 year 1.
Okay.
And it was only here in Washington where he became a number 1 option, really one A option, maybe 1B is where he's starting to average 14.2 points last year and 18 points this year.
Ooh, he's an all-star.
I'm thinking
wait. 18. Whoa. Who's scoring 18 points this year?
18 points a game. That's what Kuzma's listed at right now.
No.
Field goal attempts. Sorry, 18 field goal attempts.
Okay.
22 points.
22 points.
Difference.
Ooh, it's 4 points
difference.
Almost an all-star at 22 points.
That's exactly right.
As one of the top 3 options. I'm not saying Kuzma can't. I'm just saying that I wouldn't also give up on Rui just yet. I don't think Rui's ever going to blossom. I do think Kuzma is a B-list star in the NBA. I don't think that is enough.
10 levels above Rui.
I don't think that's enough with KP and his injury history and Beal and his fact that Beal is not a superstar.
Thank you. He is not a super. He's just a name, bro.
He's not a name. He's a star.
He's
Bradley
not a
Beal is a star. He's not a superstar.
He is not a superstar. Which is why I said he's not a superstar. He is not.
Kuzma's that close.
And Kuzma's leaving, bro.
Star.
Yeah. Kuzma's not staying in DC. He's not.
Now I don't know.
He's not.
Bunch of people saying he's not or whatever.
For
people
what?
Don't know.
Why would he? For what?
Money.
People like to win in the NBA, bro. You do know that.
No, they don't. You ask anybody. You ask any professional athlete. Winning's cool.
DC,
Money
bro.
is why I play.
DC.
Okay. He can make more here, Trev. They have his rights. They have his bird rights. They can offer him more than anyone else can offer him.
They're not going to.
If they offer him the max, he's going
Why would he? Oh my gosh.
The max that he can make based on his, the salary cap structure that they use. He's not going to get as much as an all-star is going to get, a guy who makes third team all-NBA like Beal, right? Shouldn't. But there is a structure like Rui can make $188 million. Okay, that's what he's eligible for based on. Now that's the max that he can make. So he's not going to get $188 million, but that's how much he can make based on the salary structures of the NBA. And so Kuzma is going to get the maximum that is available to him.
It's a waste of money.
Washington can give him more than any other team can.
It's a waste of money.
That's why he's going to sign here.
You're going to spend all that money on someone who averages 22 points a game in the East.
But again, Trev, look at his trajectory year after year after year. All he does is get better and better and better and better.
But
so why is he not going to get better again when he gets to 27, 28, 29 years old, the prime of an athlete's career?
Because he's going to realize he's wasting all that trajectory in DC when he could be winning championships and making postseason play.
That doesn't matter, guys. Not until they're G'd up. And that'll take years down the road when he's finally had enough with it.
He can definitely make more on the free agent market.
No, he can't.
It's something. It is
have his
something
bird right.
we will discuss when that comes up. Kuzma wasn't the topic today. It's kind of what we shifted into, even though really the two names that are mentioned here with the Rui trade were Rui leaving and Denny supposed to be getting more time. We didn't even touch on the Denny topic.
What for what?
I said that I said that I'm a fan of it. We'll see. We haven't we saw one game with it. We'll see which a game they won, but we'll see
and
how
who had the
rest
winning
of the season
points,
pans
by
out.
the way.
Oh my god.
Who had the winning points? I'm just asking.
The team
Kuzma
game.
was 1 for 1
Okay.
at the line to end the game.
All right. So who scored all the points in the last few possessions?
A lot of them.
Beal had a 2. Beal had a 3.
Beal had the ball stolen.
Right. After he hit the 2 and the 3, both times we hit those when they were down. Okay.
Yeah.
And then Denny hit the 2 free throws to give him the 1-point lead. Or I think it was a 3-point lead at that point. So it was Denny and it was Beal. And it
So
was
how many
Kuzma
points? How many points did Denny end up with?
I don't know the answer to that. But Kuzma ended up with 30. Oh, by the way, that would have been a career high for Rui. That was just
he scored 30. He could score 30 against Orlando Magic the other night.
Right. That's his career high.
Points. Let's go ahead wrap this up.
That's his ceiling.
We pushed the button enough here.
All right,
I agree with Jeffrey. We had Gregory teasing earlier. Like, what Gregory here? What has our life come to? Talking about a team worse than the Manders.
Yeah.
Again, we are a DC Sports Channel. We do like talking all DC sports. Normally, this conversation would be something you'd watch separately on the YouTube channel. But we have a lot of content coming out this week. You could have watched Tom Brady on Monday. We have someone coming up on Thursday, not willing to release that name just yet, but we'll tease it probably at the end of the show. We are going to be talking Commanders from here on out, so you definitely want to stay tuned here. Appreciate everybody jumping in the chat. Yam was in here earlier. Michael and Doug is here. EP says, boys, I'm back. Did you miss me?
What up, EP?
What up,
Metaphor
EP?
was in the house. We got Tommy T, TJ. We got Redskin Weekly. Yo, what's up? And we got Gus Bus in there making some of those comments that Trev was referring to, specifically like the right one. Luke is in the house. Doug, Corey, Gregory, as I mentioned, got lots of you. Thanks for joining us here. Let's move to the Commanders. This is still in the warm-up. I'm going to save the re-signing, the free agent talk for the game.
Okay.
Bezos rumor selling the Post, kind of a mandatory thing to buy the Commanders. What did you think about the rumors? Is there more smoke that we should be paying attention to with Bezos possibly coming in to purchase the team? What do you think there, Trev?
I think it's an interesting take because rumor has it Dan Snyder is not going to sell to Bezos because he does own the Washington Post. And for those who don't understand why that is, it's because the Washington Post is the platform that has started the release the report process with all the allegations against Dan Snyder and his team in front and all that stuff. So word on the street is he doesn't want to sell to Bezos because of that. But then you hear that he's not going to sell the Post to get into the bidding. But then in some kind of meeting he's been asked about it, he blatantly laughed and said no comment, like he's up to something, like, whatever. Like, so, oh, thanks, Kobe, knocking my lighter. I don't know. I guess there is smoke. If he really wants to do it, could he make more money by buying the team and get rid of the Washington Post? I really don't know.
I don't think money has anything to do with the selling the Post or whatever in order to buy it.
You just think that he just has to get rid of the Post in order to be a bidder because Dan Snyder's not going to look his way in case.
That's the only thing I'm hearing is that's it. If he sell, it's like it's almost like a gentleman's kind of deal. Like, okay, look, if you want to buy this team, if you want me to select you as a buyer of this team, then do something for me, right? So sell the Post, get rid of it, whatever. Yeah, but I mean, because it doesn't really do anything other than appease Dan.
Yeah,
that's all it does. It doesn't change anything about his bidding or anything. So I don't know. Seems just like a whole bunch of political.
Yeah, I think it's mostly a whole lot of nonsense in there.
Yeah.
I do have one particular theory I'm going to pitch, but I wanted to read Gus's comment here. Why doesn't Bezos wait until the team is sold, then offer that group $1 billion more immediately to flip it? Don't have to deal with Snyder or rid himself of assets. Sure, the league would be okay with it.
Well, how do you know they don't write into the contracts that you can't do that? You know what I mean? Whoever the winning bidder is, you say you can't sell to Bezos within 5 years or whatever. I mean, it could be simply written in if that's an issue. But
and the league would have, they would have to buy the league. But the league would have to approve the first buyer, and then you have to wait to the next league meeting.
That's a lot.
So it would be
that's too
much. Just to get Bezos in here. I don't care who buys it.
And just for $1 billion more, it'd have to be a lot more. It's too much and too much work to buy it and then sell it right off the bat. You're going to want to keep your money and do that. So I agree with Luke here. It's definitely a political stunt. Only time will tell if Bezos is actually interested or if he's just stoking the fire. I do think there's a fair bit of that. My question to you, gentlemen, little tinfoil hat time here.
All right.
Okay. What if instead of selling off the Washington Post, what if Snyder puts it in their little backdoor gentleman's deal type thing that the Washington Post cannot break any of these stories that are pending on Snyder? The Mary Jo White investigation, some more of these Commanders ones. Yes. What if that's the backdoor shady deal that Snyder wants is he doesn't want his name dragged through the mud through the Washington Post because Bezos owns that and can kind of dictate what goes on.
As dirty as that is, I will not put it past Dan Snyder to do something like that. And if that's what's happening, I'm not excited about this at all.
Zero chance Bezos does that. You cannot sell out the integrity of the Washington Post or any business that you own. You cannot sell out the integrity of that business in order for you to buy something. Right. Mm-hmm. He wouldn't do it. I could see maybe Dan asking, but there's no way. You're going to sell out the integrity of everything that
you don't think that happens at major news organizations all the time, where stories are held back or things aren't released in certain ways, and reporters have to swallow something because of directive from level, up the top.
At reporter level, at editor level, or whatever. But he's gonna sell out the entire Washington Post organization and everything that they stand for just to
own a football
team.
Nah,
I mean, if that ever came out, that would be a bigger scandal than anything Snyder ever did, and he would be vilified and run out of town faster than Snyder. That would be
it would be a very, very nasty thing for Bezos to do.
I would have a hard time.
We would all probably have a very hard time getting behind that. Yeah, Michael, it is unethical and not necessarily illegal to do something like that. But if you're right here, Michael, if it happens, you can't put it in the contract. And that part you wouldn't. It would not be a part of the contract. It would definitely be a kind of a backdoor deal. That's not something that's publicized, and we only find out about it because a Washington Post reporter is going to break, their contract and put themselves out there and be like, "No, this is messed up. There, something here happened." It would be something. And Doug, you're absolutely right here. Doug says someone else would break the stories, and then the Post can write all they want then, and that's possible too.
Yeah, but that's just not how it works in the competitive.
Oh yeah, it's still competitive journalism. Yeah. It happens more often than we'd want to really know, where journalistic organizations don't post stories because they've been paid enough money to not post that story.
I mean, the National Enquirer was famous for it for years and years and years and years. I forgot what they call it specifically, but they would pay exclusive rights to a major story and then kill it for the protection of the person or persons of whom the story is about. They call it like catch and kill. Maybe it's called catch and kill. But yeah, so National Enquirer was famous for that for years. So yes, it does happen. I'm sure it happens, but down at that level, I don't know that an owner would agree to something like that. Say my entire organization is no longer allowed to talk about this person so that I can buy an organization. I find it hard to believe, but who knows what goes on behind.
We don't know. We don't know where it's going to go. I will say, I agree with Michael. If Bezos comes over top of everybody with $1 billion or more, there's no way Snyder's turning that down.
I agree with that as well.
Yeah,
and I agree. I think it was Gregory put it up here. Bezos is letting other people set the market, and then he's going to come on over top. He's got the money. It's a brilliant move. It's smart. He's not letting people, bid up his deal there. He's going to make sure that he comes and smashes that, just like you should be smashing that like button. Make sure you get on that like button. And we will be back with some content, more Commanders content, free agents, our own. Which ones are we going to re-sign? Is Payne going to stay a Commander? All that's coming up here right now on The Game.
The Game is brought to you by Pacers Running Stores. Pacers has 5 stores in Northern Virginia and DC. For the best running footwear, apparel, and gear, just stop by or schedule a virtual fitting with the best running experts in the business. Pacers Running exists to help as many people as possible through running. For every run, it's Pacers Running.
Speaking of smashing that like button, make sure you head out to Pacers Running. Get yourselves a nice, comfy pair of shoes. Treat yourself. You're on your feet so much for the day. You need a good pair of shoes. Pacers Running are going to take care of you. It's Pacers Running. For every run, they've got you covered. All right. Speaking of coverage here, there's quite a few people on the list of free agents for Washington. I don't think we're going to bury the lead here. Daron Payne is definitely going to be the headliner on this particular list. Does Washington re-sign him? Do you want Washington to re-sign him? What's it going to take?
Trev? Do you want to re-sign him, Trev?
Depends on the price.
Okay. Well, he's going to get top.
Yeah,
he's going to get more. He's going to get more than Allen.
What is it, like $18 million a year?
That's what Allen got 2 years ago.
Market value, according to Spotrac.com, has market value at $19.4 million on average salary.
He's getting
I'd rank him as fourth, by the way.
He's getting more than that because his tag price is more than that. His tag price is in the 20s. Right?
Yeah.
I mean, Aaron Donald just screwed all the other organizations out when now he's making $30 million a year, and that just raised the price of all the defensive tackles.
All right, in that case, no. And here's why I also know. Didn't they draft for Darian Mathis? I know he was hurt, but they went and got him for a reason. I think because they knew that this was going to come up sooner or later, and that they probably couldn't afford it. I love Daron Payne. He showed out for us this year, but to be quite honest, in my opinion, he only went as far as Jonathan Allen went. You know what I'm saying? As Jonathan Allen went, here comes Daron Payne. He really wasn't that lone threat as big as Jonathan Allen was. When Jonathan Allen wasn't playing, Daron Payne, you didn't hear his name that much in the Cowboys game. But when Jonathan Allen plays, you do, because why? J.A. requires so much attention that frees up Daron Payne to make some plays. I'm not saying he's not good. I'm not saying, I just think that he needs another person alongside him to help bring his, performance out. And I think this year, if we did pay him, I think he would be overpaid, honestly. So I might as well let him go. We drafted for Darian Mathis. We can go get somebody free agency with a little bit cheaper, maybe a little bit better production-wise as well. I don't know. But I don't want to waste all that money on D-line, and we could use a lot of that money to shore up things that we really actually need, like the offensive line, like defensive backs, a couple linebackers.
I think you're slow playing it a little bit, Trev. I think that's exactly why they should not sign Payne, because the plan was we're going to draft a defensive tackle in the second round, and we've said it. Okay, I've said it a billion times. I don't know if you guys agreed with me, but if you're going to draft a defensive tackle or anybody in the second round, that player should be a starter day one for 5 years.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, now you put aside the part about him getting hurt. If he wasn't hurt, he shouldn't be a rotational type player that plays 40% of the snaps. He should play. You drafted Phidarian Mathis for the lone purpose of replacing Daron Payne, knowing you were going to lose him. Now he had a better year than you expected. Now all of a sudden everybody wants to keep him. No, you drafted that guy for a reason.
Mm-hmm.
So let him go. Let him if you want to tag and trade him, that's fine too. Maybe get something for him. But either way, if he leaves, you're going to get a compensatory pick for him next year, a third rounder, most definitely, right? So you're going to get something for him if he leaves.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, but go ahead and let him go. Put Mathis in there.
Yeah.
Ridgeway, who you got for nothing, was a fine defensive tackle in the rotation as a backup guy. Now he tore his pec. I don't know what the recovery time is for a torn pec, but against the Cowboys in that last game. And you had Bada, right? You have some average, decent pieces there already. And then you've got Mathis and Allen as your anchors on the D tackle. I'm fine letting him go. Like you said, Trev, he's a borderline great player. He was the first alternate for the Pro Bowl, and when Aaron Donald pulled out, he's in the Pro Bowl, whatever Pro Bowl is nowadays. But he's there, right? They're basically saying he's the third best defensive tackle, or maybe it's fifth best. Maybe they have four go to the Pro Bowl from the East or from the NFC. So he's right there on stardom. That's fine. It's not a position that they're hurting. So let him go. I'm okay with that.
A lot of people in the comments are mentioning a tag and trade. Right. What do you think about that, Stoner? You think that's possible?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. You either tag and trade him or you just let him go for a compensatory pick. Because if you tag and trade him, I don't know that you're going to get a whole lot more than that for a defensive tackle who's on a tag, who's going to cost the other team. Now whoever trades for him is going to sign him to a long-term deal. But still, I don't know what sort of market you're going to get. Are you going to get a first rounder back for Daron Payne?
No.
You know what I mean? You might get a second rounder. I don't know. I have no idea what it is. But if you want to tag and trade him, I'm good with that too.
Yeah.
He's all about the money. He wants his money, which is fine.
And I do think that he's going to get paid. The tag and trade seems like a reasonable thing. There is some history there with the tag and trade. Plenty of options if you're looking back there for teams that have done that. Now, a defensive tackle, though, even one with 11 sacks on the year, even one that's an alternate Pro Bowler, the problem is what is going to be the market? You're not going to get a first for it. Okay. Your goal is to get above a third, because you're going to get a third if he signs anywhere else.
That's right.
So is he going to net you back a second? Which teams out there would be willing to give up a second round pick for the rights
or a better third? Right, because a compensatory is at the end of the third round, right? At the end.
Sure.
I guess teams that are looking to stop the run, because that's what we did a really good job of this year for the most part, to stop the run. So,
make no mistake, he's valuable, but he's not so valuable that you're going to give him such a huge chunk of your money. Think about that. That somebody said in there that the tag is $19 million. I think it's more than that, but that's fine. Let's just say $19 million. I mean, Carson Wentz, your quarterback, made $27 million. You're approaching Carson Wentz quarterback money, right? Use that money elsewhere, like Tom Brady or something, right? Or I don't know, go get Lamar Jackson or something, right? You know what I'm saying is use that money on something, because you already have a plan in place to replace him. So you're not like leaving the cupboard bare.
Exactly.
It's not like when Sheriff left and you replace him with a Trey Turner type and you have a bare cupboard. you have his replacement. So
and who knows who's going to hit the free agent market for D tackles this year? I mean, look what Philly did. And Ndamukong Suh was just chilling at home. They went and got him. Where's he at? Almost to the Super Bowl. Another person they went and got. Where's he at? Almost to the Super Bowl. So like, there's better people out there besides Daron Payne. I promise you.
Yeah.
Ooh, yeah. I'm not going to go as far as say that there's better free agent defensive tackles out there. But I will say that I can agree with, as much as we've been team Payne the man, this is one you have to let go. This, unfortunately, and E, I agree with you here. E says, I say this defense takes a big setback, just like the O-line did without Sheriff. For all you know, Payne is the interior. Now, Jonathan Allen, I do believe, is the better of the two tackles. I do think that Daron Payne, he did have a better rookie year than Jonathan Allen. Yes, he rocked 95 before he rocked 94. And yes, he had a great year this year. But a lot of that, if you're watching the games, it's because Jonathan Allen was taking a lot of that. Of that. And I do think Jonathan Allen takes a step back next year if Mathis and Ridgeway can't hold their own.
Sure.
If you can go in and triple team Jonathan Allen because you can do one-on-one the other way, then Washington's defense will take a step back.
Yeah.
So you do want to see something in there, but that's doesn't necessarily have to come from the defensive tackle position. What if you spent, we're obviously the smart money would be spending it on an offensive line. So that way you can bridge, help this young quarterback who's likely going to be the starter. But what if you spend that money on an edge rusher? So you get an edge rusher who gets 10 plus sacks. Isn't that going to be just as good as having an interior lineman who is pressuring the quarterback? You're going to want to replace those sacks. How are you going to do that is the big thing. So maybe a tag and trade works. I would love to see it. I was just looking at the history of tag and trades to see exactly how reasonable, because I couldn't really think of anyone. We had someone mention, Gus Bus mentioned the DeForest Buckner one is a perfect case study. You had Clowney, who was a tag and trade, Edge D Ford in 2019. I do think that it's possible Washington can walk away with a second round pick, maybe even a young player that they can use as a building block. That's
what if they trade him for, somebody's offensive
interior offensive lineman?
Yeah. That a guy who is also up for a contract, so you kind of swap needs for two different teams. Who knows? Yeah, that absolutely could happen. I'm shocked, actually. Right. I kept it to myself what my feelings were on this, because I thought for sure both of you were all about re-signing him.
No, man.
I think other people are like Luke here. Luke says, y'all swayed my opinion. Need to upgrade offensive line for our future QB. Love Payne, but it seems they drafted his replacement already. Offense should have scored more points as well. The offense is in need. The defense, and Corey, I get it. Payne and Allen work together. We don't necessarily want to break that up. I would love if Payne gets re-signed here. I think that I would still be happy with that. I think what's better for the team, however, is to find a way to net resources from him. So that's the thing.
Let that man go.
I mean, his cap hits this year was his biggest cap hit at like $8.5 million for Payne. If you can sign him for $8.5 million, then you do it in a heartbeat. But that's just not the way the market works. And he's going to get north of $20 million a year as far as cap hits. So yeah, you just gotta allocate that money elsewhere for more important needs.
Man, we could have a stud defense, but in order to win games, we got to score points. So might as well use all your extra money you have left over to go get some ways to score points.
Two things here. First, Corey says you can draft offensive linemen. This year's draft is very deep as far as O-line. Absolutely. And you know what would really help that? Getting us another second by tagging and trading Daron Payne. Get yourself a couple good second rounders that can shore up that offensive line for years to come. Gus Bus is challenging us here. Would you think differently if we made the playoffs with Heineke? Would you be as willing to let Daron Payne go?
Yes.
No.
Yes.
No.
Stoner, why does that change your opinion on Payne if we make the playoffs?
Well, if he takes you to the playoffs and he's like, okay, this is our guy, for the next 5 years or whatever, then that's fine. Then you don't have to worry about allocating so much to that position, to the quarterback position, or to protecting him, right? So if that's the case, but if you squeak in at 8-1, or they were 8-1, so 9-7-1, and you squeak in and get blown out with Heineke, now that's different, right? Because he's still not your guy.
It already happened.
Got problems, but if you snuck in with Heineke, or if you got in at 12-4-1, right, and Heineke's your guy, then yeah, that does change my mind a little bit, because now you don't have to worry about allocating those resources to those other positions as much, because if you played that well, then obviously you won't have these holes. You won't have these huge holes at offensive line.
That was with 12 wins. Once you still have those holes at 9-7-1.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. If you sneak in, that's different.
Okay.
Right? If you sneak in and Heineke's still not the guy. But if you get in and Heineke's the guy, then yeah, I'd probably re-sign him.
Why are we
totally
even saying the word Heineke on this podcast?
Somebody asked.
It was a question posed to us.
Watching,
how about
please leave Heineke back in
Trev,
the where it
what if
belongs?
it's not Heineke? What if Washington made the playoffs with Carson Wentz, with Sam Howell?
Yeah, what if Sam Howell came in?
You're still willing to get rid of Daron Payne?
I'm in the same boat, because it already happened. We snuck in the playoffs at 7-9, division winning championship with Heineke, and we lost in the wild card round.
Well, it wasn't with Heineke though. Heineke came in for the last game of the year, and the playoff, and he played in the playoff game.
Okay,
the point is, do you?
Yes, I would still let him go. I would still let him go.
quarterback?
I would still let him go, because there's always, you can always make your team better. And if he's asking for a lot of money, you could use that money to make your team even better instead of just focusing on a piece of the defensive line, not the defensive line, but just a piece of it. When we've already proven it can be done without him. So, yeah, I'd still let him go, because
I respect that.
I think you still probably have to.
Aaron Donald, yes.
The cost of it. Again, I would love nothing more than to see Daron Payne and Jonathan Allen team up year after year and just beat the living crud out of the interior offensive line. Okay.
I would also like to score points. I would love to score points.
I do think that there's just more pressing needs for this team. And if it's possible, if this tag and trade is a real thing, if they can pull that off, which I still have my doubts on this front office and whether or not they could pull something like that off, then you have to do it. If you can get a second, maybe a player, maybe, there's one of the history ones that I was looking at, again, kind of comparable defensive lineman, was a second and like a fifth, right? That could have gone to like a fourth round pick. I think that's good. I think that's, again, Washington, if they get more, and here's the thing with the tag and trade, that should be a second rounder this year, right? Because they're going to get a third round next year. Mm-hmm. If they can get something this year for it, right, and like I said, build up, mm-hmm, and maybe they get a second round this year. And because he did play, he is a Pro Bowler, he did get, double digit sacks. Maybe they get a reasonable pick next year, a fourth or something. And then they have an asset. If Sam Howell isn't the guy, or whoever they drag in here to try to convince us is going to be, revitalizing their career like Carson Wentz did, then maybe use that fourth round pick to move up in the draft. That gives you assets for next year, mm-hmm, to be able to do something. So I just think that it's a win situation, whichever way this goes. Will the defense probably take a step back? Could be. Probably. Well, you're losing a caliber player, a high caliber player. And I said that with Sheriff. Everyone was fine letting Sheriff walk out the door. And I was like, the offensive line is going to take a step back. No one wanted to believe it. And look what yes, part of that is the people they signed, right? But they drafted a guy in the second round. They got somebody in Ridgeway who we've seen play, and it just changed his Twitter profile pic to suplexing a dude. Love it. Absolutely love it.
Yeah, he did.
So,
or see. Like you said, also they make up for that loss in other areas, with other players, with Chase Young coming back. Maybe he makes up for those sacks that Payne was getting and pressures and help up the middle. Maybe they get a new inside linebacker, not named Cole Holcomb.
Yes, yeah. Who else on this list? I'm done throwing Payne. Who else
that's actually the next name to go to there.
Let him go.
Is Cole Holcomb.
Let him go.
I mean, he's
sorry.
Hey, listen, you mocked me, Trev, earlier this year when I called him a Jag.
I did. I'm a Tar Heel. I'm a Tar Heel guy, so it's a little bit biased.
Right.
But to see how our defensive play has played without him, we're fine. We are fine. I mean, we could have used them in here or there, a series or two in a couple of games, but it wasn't like dang. Because the whole time, what were we talking about? This defense changes when who is out? Cam Curl. We never said that when Cole Holcomb was out and he had the green dot. We never said that. And there's your answer right there. Let him go.
Yeah, John Bostic was wearing the green dot for like the last 5 or 6 games.
And for what it's worth,
making fun of him, except one or two plays, right?
Yeah, he was. For what it's worth, he was serviceable. Right, he was serviceable. So if he can be replaced by John Bostic, who's been here once before,
who's also a free agent, by the way, who I would definitely. And so is Mayo.
I love my Tar Heels, but let him go.
However,
he's a jag on
if he doesn't cost you a lot.
No,
then there's no reason to not sign him.
Yeah,
he isn't detrimental to your team, right? So he's fine. I would like to see him maybe in a different role. I liked him on the outside better than I do on the inside, but that's fine. But what if his new role is the backup inside linebacker to somebody that you bring in?
The Mayo role.
The Mayo role, exactly.
Yeah. Okay.
And if he doesn't cost you too much.
I'm not paying him a lot. I'm not paying what he thinks he deserves.
It's kind of like the J.D. McKissick from last year, right? If he goes, he goes. But if he comes back on a team-friendly deal, great. He has a role on this team.
Cool.
So it's kind of the same with Cole Holcomb, I think.
Mayo, by the way, a little bit of an age difference there. He's 3 years the senior to Cole Holcomb. Mm-hmm. Mayo was paid $1.1 million. Would you be willing to pay close to $1.2 million for Cole Holcomb to come back?
Oh yeah,
1.2.
He'll get more than that, but yeah.
Yeah, I'll give him 1.2 to come back as a depth piece. He can't be the starter no more. We got to see who else is on this free agent market list. Because I'm tired of. We need a stud, somebody with a name and stats to back it up.
Well, like I said, Mayo and Bostic are on there for linebackers. Kalike Hudson and Milo Eifler, other linebackers on there. Any of these linebackers you want to bring back for Washington next year?
They're who Eifler and Hudson are free agents.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah,
see ya.
They go. Or they come back again as
practice squad players.
I do think we see Kalike Hudson get re-signed. Yeah, I do think he is a depth piece and a special teamers. Okay,
that's fine.
So, which is fine. I mean, this is going to be a cheap deal. As far as Cole Holcomb, if the money's right, he's again, and you still have to draft probably a linebacker, and you have to have, you have to have some competition there, but you can't bring back Bostic. You can't bring back Mayo. You got to have something better there. Mm-hmm. So we'll see there. And I agree. I think Hudson, he played fairly well that game against Dallas, and it could just be, he needs some more time. We'll see. We need to upgrade the linebacker spot. So I'm not exactly thrilled about bringing back too many of these guys. So we'll see what happens there. Here's a name that I know our listeners are pretty excited about, and that's Wes Schweitzer is a free agent.
Oh boy.
He's 29 years in age. His market value, if you're interested in something like that, again, this is all thanks to Spotrac, here is $13.8 million is his calculation.
Excuse me, per?
That's his
per
his average annual salary.
Nah, dog, I'm good.
No.
We need that money. Let him go.
No.
No, I'm not paying
a backup $13 million.
He don't even know his own positional O-line. He could be center, could be guard, could be tackle. He don't even know. I'm good. $13 million to Wes Schweitzer. I'm good.
No.
Sorry, bro.
No, yeah, sorry.
The tribe has spoken.
Gus Bus's guy is gone, you think? Yeah, Gus Bus is saying,
gone.
3 years, $13 million. I'm going just specifically off of what Spotrac says there. So that's
Okay, you sure that's 13 per?
I'm looking at it right now. $13.8 million in average annual salary.
No.
Yeah, a guy with 7 years experience. He's been a rotational guard, sometimes center.
Yeah, I think what Gus says, 3 years, 13 something. Okay, now you're in my.
I will show you guys. I am not fooling you here. I'm going to bring this up. Yeah, when I saw that, I almost choked when I brought this up here.
There it is.
Average.
I'm not lying to you.
4 years, $55 million.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, 13. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, but Nathan was right. Nah,
yeah, right there, $13.8 million.
No. And turn this off because he might not even know he's getting paid that. Somebody go tell him. So
like Spotrac has you getting $13 million. Hold out for it.
That's insane.
Yeah, at $13 million a year, you ain't bringing them back. That's not
nobody's giving it back.
Yeah, Trout saying way too much. Michael telling me to look at over the cap. I have no problem with that. We can bring up over the cap as well.
I'll go look at it real quick.
That's gonna be something that we can do here. For the record, by the way, I see a lot of people, and we're gonna talk about this. Tommy T asked for Logan Thomas. Corey Lott asked about Logan Thomas. Today's topic is just free agents that we're going to re-sign next week. Unless something big and crazy happens, it's on the docket that we're going to talk about potential cap cuts. All right. And Logan Thomas is going to be a big discussion next week. So you're going to want to come back for that topic again next week and who else we think should be cut. But this week it's strictly actual free agents. While he's looking at the OTC there. Trey Turner is another guard on there.
See, he go.
Let's see what the market value for Trey Turner is. 2.6 million is the calculated market value for Trey Turner. I'm not keeping him for $2.6 million either. So it's like we need fresh faces. Yeah, we need.
Come on, man! But he's a riverboat guy. You guys, I got to bounce. I got to go do football garbage time. But if you guys are still here in a half hour, I'll be back.
Which we probably will be. We got lots of names left to go here.
I'll be back.
Have a good time at Football Garbage Time. You can always check him out at Football Garbage Time as well. He's one of the co-hosts there. Trev, peace. All right, now
Over the Cap has Schweitzer at $4.5 million a year.
I think that's probably more on target than the
we can talk. Million. You walk into the negotiation room with I want almost $14 million a year. Yeah.
Spotrac might have Wes Schweitzer's agent on like payroll, and they're just trying to see if they can't, convince somebody to pay him that much. But I agree, it's too much. Trey Turner. I don't even care what the price is. We're not bringing him back. How about Tyler Larson? Backup center. He is 31, going to be 32 years old.
I mean, 2 straight years of
with an injury.
Yeah, with a season-ending injury. It's like Chase Rouillet. I'm ready to move on from Chase. Everybody loves Chase.
Chase is good when healthy.
He's a good ball player, but if you just keep getting injured over and over and over again, what's the best ability, right?
Availability. Yeah.
Wait, I forgot how that
best ability is availability.
Yeah, availability. Right. And he can't stay healthy. So the same with Larson. So you got to let Larson go. He's also a Jag. I think Chase Rouillet is not a Jag. I think he's a very good player, but
when healthy, I think he's one of the better centers. Problem is he just hasn't been healthy, and that's a thing. So
Larson, you can go
potentially restructure Chase. And TJ, you can't really make cuts until you know what the free agents are, but there are ones out there that are going to be, potential cap casualties. And that's next week's topic there. This week here, Nick Martin probably not making the team again.
God, he was terrible.
Yeah,
no,
not making the team. All right, those are the offensive linemen. We talked about Deron Payne, Joey Sly.
Yeah,
you figure they have to bring him back.
Yes, you bring him back probably at about the same number, with a little bit of raise just because of service time or whatever.
Yeah, $2.5 million or so is what he made last year. So you're bringing him probably right in under $3 million.
Probably somewhere around there. But you absolutely have to bring in competition for him.
That's
right.
Fair.
You have to bring in somebody just to push him in camp or whatever. And if he's not kicking well, then you're not getting a big cap hit if you're losing a couple million a year. And that if you end up cutting him and going with the other guy. But yeah, I mean, he's not terrible. He's not great. But if you can find somebody better, fine. But those guys aren't usually sitting out there, looking for a job. So he's an average kicker. He's fine.
That's fair. We'll see if that happens. I'm good if they bring him back. I do agree they need to have some competition. A guy I don't think comes back is F.A. Obata.
Whoa.
Yeah, 30.8 years of age. And I just think that they're going to want to go younger. And I don't necessarily think that he did enough this season to be like, yeah, let's go ahead and keep him there. I think that there's other guys that they like Casey Tuhill. And I still think Shaka Toney is somebody who they want to see, grow as a pass rusher. And you can get younger. You can get a 7th rounder. Now, maybe they sign him and he doesn't make the 53 roster. But I just don't think that this is a necessity to sign F.A. Obata.
I thought he popped quite a few times this year. I thought he didn't just sort of meld into the plays like a lot of guys do, like Shaka Toney did when he was out there. I thought he popped. I saw good things from him. So I think as long as he's healthy, I think you bring him back. He's not going to cost you much, right? Bring him. Yeah, I would probably.
He didn't cost much last year. He was making, $1.2 million. So, same as Tyler Larson there. So, that's, and I agree, Michael, you can't miss the point attempts, but Maher had a job for a whole week after missing 4. So you never know. Luke says kicker has a big leg, but accuracy is an issue. I think his accuracy is a little overblown. He's fine. You're right, Luke. Upgrade would be nice. Yeah, that's exactly what Stoner's saying is bring in competition, see if you get something there.
But don't go out and I wouldn't use a draft pick for a kicker. No chance I would ever do that. And
I don't even draft kickers in fantasy. I just wait. I wait until afterwards, and I'm like, which skill person do I not want? Let me get a kicker.
That's right. Or I'm not going to go out and get this big free agent kicker, big money, double the price of Sly. Because you really can't double the price of his, his scoring or his value to the team. So yeah, fine. Bring him back on a decent contract that he had before, and bring in somebody. And if the other guy beats him out, then you're not taking a huge cap hit.
Eli Wolf's on here. I don't think I'm not concerned whether or not they bring back Eli Wolf. That's a tight end. Most people probably don't even remember the fact that he was on this roster at the start. How about someone who did get some starting time and could be potentially a depth piece at only 22 years of age, and that's Rashard Wildgoose.
So he's just a free agent.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, whatever. I'm not.
He is an exclusive restricted free agent.
Okay, he's whatever. It's whatever. Sign him and see what happens. But he's
all right. By the way, Kalike Hudson, restricted free agent. Milo, an exclusive restricted free agent. Looks like the rest of these are all listed as unrestricted free agents. So. Oh, well, there is one more restricted free agent that I cannot go without talking. There's 2 running backs on here.
All right.
Jonathan Williams, rather, who's an unrestricted free agent, and then Jarrett frickin' Patterson as a restricted free agent. Do we sign back these two young running backs?
How old is Jonathan Williams? I don't think he's young.
Yeah, he's younger than us. He's 28. He's about 29 years of age.
Oh, bye. When running backs hit 30, man, they are so done. So yeah. I mean, again, same with Patterson. Look, you bring him back on a cheap deal and you let him compete for a job or whatever, but that's it. If they go, no one's crying except for EP. But yeah, nobody cares if they go somewhere else.
Yeah, I think that you probably sign Jarrett Patterson, possibly Jonathan Williams. Maybe they don't make it through camp, but there's definitely options that you can go out there drafting somebody in the later rounds. That is the big question, TJ. What are they going to do with Gibson? I don't see them signing Gibson long term, but they got to be able to find a replacement for him in the short term. So
yeah, but in the long term they got to find a replacement, not in the short term, because he's signed for this year.
Yeah,
so you're not worried about short term this year, right? So I mean, Jonathan Williams came out of nowhere. You signed him off the street, so
and he did well. I think he did pretty well. I do think Jarrett Patterson outplayed him in the Dallas game.
Yeah, fine. I mean,
didn't say he did great.
These guys
I said he outplayed Jonathan Williams.
Yeah, these guys are such jags that it's hard for me to kind of say either way, because if you sign him, fine. If you don't, fine. You either way. I know EP will care if Patterson goes, but I mean, he's just a jag.
All right, one name. I'm glad that I waited until Trev left the show. Taylor Heineke, unrestricted free agent. Does Washington make the choice to re-sign Heineke as a backup quarterback to Sam Howell?
Can't do it. You cannot do it, brother. You can't sign him back here. As talented as he is, as a backup, he's probably a, top 10 backup quarterback in this league, right? So he's valuable in that role. You can't do it if you are focused on Sam Howell. If Sam Howell is your guy, you cannot have crowd favorite, everybody loves, everybody wants to play Taylor Heineke sitting in that quarterback room just itching for that opportunity to go start, right? You saw it in that Cleveland game. You were there at that Cleveland game. In the first series, the first pass that went through, or the first interception in the first series, and that place was going nuts for Heineke. The same thing will happen if Sam Howell's starting and Heineke's the backup. The first mistake he makes, and the whole world and all the press conferences and all the beat reporters and all the writers are all going to be writing about Taylor Heineke. You can't do it for the mental well-being of that entire front office. You just got to let him go somewhere else.
You gotta let me know what Over the Cap says, because Spotrac has his market value at $19.8 million average annual salary.
But I mean,
yeah, look at Over the Cap there, because I don't think he's going to get that either. I do think that he could potentially get near $10 million a year.
Oh yeah,
So, but I would be interesting. I agree with you, Stoner. I don't think they should bring him back.
Right.
But one thing here is Tommy's asking the question: how many of these people does Ron bring back? Because he's maybe gone after a year.
I guess it depends individually on each one, who you're talking about. But that plays a role into his thinking for sure. It plays a role into who's going to bring in a quarterback. It plays a role in who's going to bring in his offensive coordinator. Him knowing that all of this could be for nothing at the end of the year once a new owner comes in. So yeah, absolutely, all that plays into it. But the Heineke situation, and I don't even trust this over the cap now. The over the cap saying like $2.5 million is his valuation. So we got to find
somewhere in between the near 20 million on Spotrac and 2.5 million is what you said.
Yeah.
I mean, Teddy Bridgewater got a 1-year deal for $6.5 million.
Yeah, that's about what he's going to get. Somewhere in that Bridgewater range. He's going to get probably I'd say probably even higher than that, 7 to 10 million. Yeah. He's going to get somewhere in that, probably a 2-year. You know what I mean? He's going to get like a 2-year, $15 million deal.
Yeah, Jimmy G was a $7 million deal. Andy Dalton, $3 million deal.
Yeah, even though, and those guys are more proven than Taylor certainly is. But if his name was not Taylor Heineke, and if you just put kind of his stats up there and said, bring this particular quarterback in, you do it. But because it's Taylor Heineke, and because he just has this, or this fan base has such a love affair for him, that it's not good for anybody to bring him back. So, and maybe that plays a role for Ron, right? Knowing that this could be his last year, he might just say, I want to have a competent backup in here to back up Sam Howell if Sam Howell's the guy I'm going with.
Yeah. I do think you're onto something there as far as having to get rid of him because of the fan base's love of him and wanting to go in a different direction. You saw it with Carson Wentz, and it's something not out of the norm. I mean, Gardner Minshew was beloved. There was Minshew mania in Jacksonville. They picked up Trevor Lawrence, and one of the first things they did was make sure Gardner Minshew wasn't in the same town.
That's right.
And it's because the moment Trevor Lawrence struggles, any moment he struggles, people are going to pine for the guy that they've grown to love. Even if he wasn't winning them games, he was exciting, and he did, he was a guy that people can get behind, much like Taylor Heineke is.
That's right. That's a great comparison.
And I think that's what you need to do. Whether or not this QB1 is going to be Sam Howell or somebody else, you can't, if you're going to go into this year and you want to actually have faith and put all your eggs into one basket that's not Taylor Heineke, bringing in Taylor Heineke would be a mistake.
I agree. I 100% agree with that.
So that would be interesting. Last one on this list. I'm pretty sure we've talked about everyone on this list. This one, yes, I think is going to be the most interesting. And you're already saying yes?
Yes.
Who are you saying yes to? Oh, no, you're right. There's 2 people on this list. All right. So I'm going to talk about the one who's probably the least controversial. Or the most controversial. And then we'll go to the one who's a guaranteed going to be re-signed. First one on this list, Cam Sims, 27-year-old wide receiver, 5. You're re-signing him? Definite. You went right for it.
I didn't think that's who you were bringing up.
No, I think you're going to talk about the other one who I think we're both going to agree on. I disagree with this one. Cam
Sims, again, he's fine, right? He's been in this organization for quite a while, right? He's a guy that the coaches love. He plays, you know what I mean? Like, he does everything the coaches ask him to do. He's loyal to them. The coaches are loyal to him. I mean, I would bring him back. He's a fine player. He's another one of those, if you don't bring him back, that's okay. But I think you do lose a little bit because he is a glue type guy. He is a guy that can step in at wide receiver. He's a guy that plays all the special teams, right? So he fits a bigger role than, some of these other receivers or some of these other Jags that we're talking about getting rid of. So I would bring him back, but he doesn't make a lot of money. So if you bring him back, you might have to give him a little bit more. But still, you're not going to break the bank for him. You're not going to give him $4 million a year. So
currently making $2.5 million.
Yeah. So you're probably going to give him $3.5 million. If he agrees to that, sure, you bring him back. He's a good piece.
Yeah. I guess I understand where you're coming from with this one, and it's possible the wide receiver room, I think, was something that we thought was a lot deeper going into the season. I do think that they have a good 1 through 3 I think that potentially you have a breakout season coming for De'Ami Brown, as much as a breakout season as you can as the wide receiver 4.
That's right.
But I just think that there's room to grow in this wide receiver room. Cam Sim, yes, he brings special teams. You're going to replace that with a younger guy. Not that he's old; he's 27 years old.
It's fairly old,
and he has been around a long time. And yes, he has showed up. Maybe not always showed up, but he's made some exciting plays. He's also been your wide receiver 5, and he's shown that he's wide receiver 5. So if they sign him, cheap deal, fine. If he doesn't make the 53 roster, I think that's probably what I expect. And that's why I'm like, if you don't sign him, I think it's okay. I think that there will be a little bit of an uproar. He has some fans here. People want to see him break out and do something good. They believe in him, and that's great. He is a big receiver. He's the biggest one we got, right? He's like 6'5". He's practically tight end.
Yeah.
So, but I just think that this is an area where you can easily improve.
Yeah. I mean, they wouldn't have in the last 2 years, they wouldn't have signed Curtis Samuels as their top free agent on offense, drafted De'Ami Brown, drafted Jahan Dotson, if Cam Sims was good enough, if he was better than these other guys. So he's not. Okay. For a wide receiver 5, as you said, he's fine. He's probably borderline great as a wide receiver 5. You know what I mean? Like, he's really good.
Upper echelon of the wide receiver 5 groups.
Yeah. But as I say, I never, ever, ever want to see wide receiver 5 on the field. Okay. And if that's the case, that can be anybody. Now they have to sometimes, because you need that depth in your wide receiver room when guys get hurt or whatever. I get that, but I don't ever want to see him out on the field, because he's wide receiver 5 for a reason. There are 4 guys better than him, and you'll never convince me otherwise. When he gets in there, he makes plays. That's fine.
That's what he's also paid to do. Yeah. And Gus Bus saying, Sim should bulk up and be a tight end to replace Logan Thomas. I think that's just easier said than done. I think that if he were to make that transition, it was going to happen earlier in his career. And at this point, and I don't think his frame can handle bulking up to what he would need to be to become a tight end.
Yeah.
So I think that's it. And TJ talking about the red zone and where, if he's that large, where is he at in the red zone? Size only gets you so far. Hey, I think he's a step slower than what he needs to be. And that's why Jahan Dotson, who's not even like 6 foot tall, is a threat in the red zone.
That's right.
It's because he is quick and he has the footwork, and so size isn't everything. If it was, then Cole Turner at 6'7" was going to be catching touchdown passes left and right. Logan Thomas at 6'5" would have been catching touchdown passes left and right. There's part of it is scheme, offensive coordinator, all that stuff. Absolutely. In this case, I think Cam Sims, wide receiver 5 this year, potentially not on our roster next year. And so if he's re-signed, I'm good. I'm good with it. If he's not re-signed, I think that's I think it's more than likely he doesn't make the 53-man roster.
You say he doesn't?
Does not.
I think he does. I think they'll re-sign him, and I think he makes the 53.
Okay. We will disagree on that one. We will not disagree on the actual last name. Do you want to tell us who the last name is?
It's got to be Jeremy Reeves.
It is Jeremy Reeves.
Right. Yeah.
You got to re-sign him.
You have to. And I think you also will probably be able to re-sign him for a team-friendly deal, because the team showed a lot of faith in him, and vice versa, right? There is a good chemistry there between this coaching staff / front office and Jeremy Reeves. So you can get him on a deal. Look, he's a backup safety. He's a Pro Bowler as a special teams guy. So he plays at a Pro Bowl level at about 10 plays a game. Okay? He's not out there.
All-pro level.
Yeah.
10 plays a game.
Or I said, what did I say? Pro Bowl?
You said Pro Bowler. He's an
Okay,
all-pro as well.
Yeah. He's an all-pro. He's the best at his position, but they only get in 10 plays a game about. Okay. And it's difficult for him to crack the safety rotation, where he could make an impact, but he's just not quite good enough for that, for whatever it is. Okay. But still, the team is loyal to him. He's been loyal to the team. I think they'll find a way to get a deal done that's not breaking the bank. And he's going to be very happy being here, making a few $1 million a year.
Yep. I agree. I think this is just probably the most obvious re-sign of all the ones on the list. He's not going to break the bank. He's somebody you like. He's somebody who's playing at, again, a Pro Bowl, all pro level. He's beloved by the team. He's beloved by the coaching staff. He's shown time and time again, this perseverance. And I think that they easily re-sign him. And I think it's a smart move. I mean, as a special teams player, yeah, he was only in there, 10 times, a game, like you said. He's in there very little. But as a backup safety, I agree with you, Stoner. He is a step too slow. We saw it too many times over the last few years where he did get to have some safety play. He recognizes it. He's smart enough. He's a very smart player, and he can recognize where it's going. He's just a touch slow, and he's a backup safety in that regard, but he's not too bad. He's also very young. He's 26 years old. So he's somebody who you can still keep around and, I think do some good things with. So,
and how much money did he make last year?
Oh, last year, pennies to where, $762,000 and 762,500. I don't know why I can't say that right now, but
762,500.
A long day. Been a long day.
But yeah, so he might get a contract that's like 3 years and $10 million or something.
Yeah.
So he's going to get a nice bump, and deservedly so. But he's not going to break your bank. Mm-hmm. He's going to get the amount of money that a guy who is a special teams ace and a backup safety deserves, which is probably in that, $3 million per year, which is fine.
More than reasonable. Easily going to have that. Real quick here on E's comment. E says, I would like to see some changes on the practice squad players. Same guys for 3+ years. If they haven't developed, move on. Enter two parts to this. The last two guys I think are great talking points for this one. Cam Sims, Jeremy Reeves. Cam Sims, wide receiver 5. Yes, Roger Smith. We don't know what Cam could do. He doesn't get any run. I think we've seen enough of him over the past several years that he is not going to crack your wide receiver group. He's not going to be wide receiver 2, which I think is what a lot of people want him to be.
Who's wide receiver 2 now?
Jahan Dotson.
So you want Cam Sims to play in front of Jahan Dotson, not you specifically. Yeah. I'm just throwing it out.
But people want to see. Yeah, people want to see that. They want to. He's not better than Curtis Samuel. Even if Curtis Samuel leaves, you're probably going to replace him with somebody who brings something closer to what Curtis Samuel brings.
Mm-hmm.
So, so as far as not developing, the practice squad guys not developing, that's a guy who's not developed, and people still want him on this roster. And then you have guys like Jeremy Reeves, who was on and off the practice squad, on and off the team.
There's a guy who did develop,
and he did. And he maybe not developed into what people would have liked to have seen, which is one of the starting safeties and everything. But he's a guy who stuck with it, and that's why maybe you don't get rid of a guy just because they've been on that practice squad for 3 years and they're not developing into that star player, that stud. They might end up being an all-pro special teams player.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, who knows? I mean, the practice squad, people like to say that that's for developing, but let's be honest, that's just for guys to fill in for injured guys.
Yep.
Right? I mean, that's yes, you would like to have a practice squad that develops into somebody, but they're camp fodder. They're out there for the other guys to get better. They're not out there for them to get better. It would be nice if you had just this, minor league of guys who can come up and play with the big boys and develop down at those minor leagues, but they're not really. The practice squad is not there to develop. The practice squad is really just kind of injury replacement, and you'll get some guy every once in a while, like a Jeremy Reeves, who will develop as a special teams guy. But
I think I agree with
special. Yeah. There are very few practice squad guys that turn into everyday players.
Yeah. Michael and I share the same sentiment here. Good practice squad players get picked by other teams. So you're not really developing the talent there, because the John Ridgeways, the ones who are going to show potential, you're peeling them off of somebody else's practice squad, right? If you put them on the practice squad, you risk losing them. And so you're not putting a player that you think has the ability to develop into something on the practice squad. You're going to put them on your 53 and kind of stash them at the end of the roster and hope that they can do practice or not practice, but special teams until they do develop. I mean, look no further than Armani Rogers, who kept making the active roster. That's a guy they want to develop into a starting tight end in this league.
Yep.
So
that's right.
Yeah. And TJ, you can't develop until you're actually in the game. Yeah. You're going to need to see some playing time there. And that's what we saw from Jeremy Reeves. He was on the practice squad, and then they elevated him because there was injuries, and you saw him, play at safety. You saw that he wasn't really good enough to be out there at safety, but he was good enough to be a backup and on the practice squad for several years. Finally developed into a stud special teams player. Love to see him back. We shipped away Deron Payne, though. That's gonna hurt. That one I don't know that I can live down. That's gonna be interesting.
You go.
I guess really on the Deron Payne, to bring him back up, would he really want to play in Washington?
Absolutely. If the price is right, again, if Washington offers the most money, why wouldn't he want to?
Well, that's what we're going to be debating here in the cool down. Is Washington an attractive place to come? We're going to be talking about specifically for QBs, but I think Deron Payne still brings up a good point. Does Deron Payne actually want to play here? Let us know in the comments what you think about that as we head into the cool down.
The cool down is brought to you by Manscaped. Ever since my Nathan started using their products, I can't cool down. Fellas, trust me. Go to Manscaped right now and get 20% off and free shipping by using the code REF. Your ladies will appreciate you. Now back to Trev, Stoner, and my Manscaped man, Nathan.
I took a shower right before coming down here and used our Manscaped products. And an EP was trying to follow me downstairs. She was like, "You smell so good. Got to go out there to manscaped.com. Use that code REF. Get yourself some discount and some free shipping. That's manscaped.com. Use the code REF right here, right now. It's time for the cool down. And we have a debate on our hands here. Stoner is long time member of the, if the money's good enough, they'll come here.
I believe that 100%.
Let us know in the chat if you agree with that. Michael Payne is all about the money, as he should be.
Yes, correct.
TJ, I think he wants to stay with his Bama brother. He ain't taking a pay cut for it.
Nope.
Not going to take a pay cut for it.
That's true.
He loves the boys, says John. Yeah, he might. Does he love them to the tune of being paid $3-4 million less a year? You know what you can do with $3-4 million? You can see the boys a lot.
That's right. Or you can buy new boys. Right? You can just buy some new friends. That's what I'd do if I had a whole bunch of money. Sorry, but I would just go buy a bunch of new friends. But he went to his locker clean out day, right? And he was wearing an all green outfit. That wasn't subtle. That was a statement that I want my money. And that's fine, right? He deserves the money that he's going to get offered. But him coming to Washington depends strictly on the money for him to if he has to decide. Like if he doesn't get tagged and he's unrestricted, right? And he can go anywhere. If Washington comes correct, he'll sign in Washington. Absolutely. And I think that's true for anybody. They will come to Washington if the money is right. Plenty of guys have done it. Now, they haven't done it a whole lot in the last, prior to the last couple of years. There was like this big gap when Washington wasn't signing big free agents for big money. But they'll do it. Curtis Samuel, right? He came here for the money when they didn't even know who the quarterback was. He didn't care who the quarterback was. He cared who the bank teller was, right? So that's what he did. William Jackson came here, right? And it wasn't even the same defense that he was used to playing. Why? Because they gave him all the money. That's who will come here if you come correct with the money. Now, that could be a problem this offseason, right? With the whole ownership situation kind of in flux. But they have a salary cap. You have to spend that money anyway. So who knows? But yes, players will come here to Washington if you have the money.
One of the things that has kind of been a common theme this year during the season, a lot of the players are pretty outspoken on the fact that there was just this black cloud around the organization and everything kept coming up, and it was like, I just want to play football. As Gus Bus says here, Payne may not want to deal with the regime change in 2024 if Rivera and Co. are out after next year. What if that's the case? Maybe he does enjoy playing for these guys and wouldn't mind coming back. Does need to get the money that he feels he deserves, but then there's this kind of specter of Dan Snyder, and if he sells and then Ron goes and he's stuck on this team, he might not fit in the next defensive coordinator's regime. Does any of that play, or is it just strictly money for you?
Yeah, it really is strictly money. And I have heard directly from a former player, okay, who said 99% of professional athletes care only about taking care of their family. They care only about the contract, the next contract, okay? That's what they care about. Winning is great. And once you get these huge, huge contracts, then you might start thinking about all that other stuff. But money is number one. That's how you feed your family. They've got this much of a shelf life in order to make as much money as they can. So that's what they're going to do. They're going to make absolutely as much as they can. And the whole winning and all that other stuff, that's great. But it's all about the Benjamins. That's always extra. Has been, always will be for these guys.
All right. I happen to agree with you, so I'm not going to really argue. I do think that first thing is going to be the money. I do think there's players out there that might give hometown discounts and that kind of stuff. Tom Brady, kind of known for not taking the hugest deals to help build a team, and that's what Luke is saying here. Get a QB. Payne is gone. Let's write off Payne. Payne's going to get tagged and traded, and QB is actually where this conversation started. On Monday's show, or Monday's Press Your Luck video that we pushed out on our YouTube channel, we talked about Tom Brady, the QB, being QB1. And all three of us like Tom Brady as a QB option for Washington. He's a championship quarterback. Even at 46, he should still probably be the best quarterback we've seen for years. I get it if you want to start Sam Howell. Sam Howell's my number 3 option. I only had 2 people above him. Tom Brady happened to be one of those people. One thing I didn't want to get on that particular topic or that video was whether or not Tom Brady would even want to come here.
Right.
What do you think Tom Brady would want to come to Washington? I know he's out there shopping schools for his family, or someone shared a video of that out in Miami.
Right.
But when it comes to whether or not someone like Tom Brady or a free agent quarterback, or maybe even a trade quarterback who has a no trade contract, or in their contract, what would make them want to come to Washington besides the money, Stoner? They're going to get paid. Most of these quarterbacks are going to get paid wherever they want. So is Washington an attractive spot for these free agents, and specifically some of these QBs that people might like. I saw a lot of people in the comment section earlier talking about a tag and trade to get Aaron Rodgers here, which, by the way, Green Bay's definitely not trading him inside the NFC.
Yeah.
But that's not the point. What's the point here is, do you think Washington's an attractive landing spot for a free agent, especially a QB?
Let's look at it very objectively. Okay. You have a top 5 defense. Okay. You have a weaker NFC, weaker than the AFC. Okay. Now you are in a strong division, which you didn't expect, but you have a weaker NFC. So your path to the playoffs / Super Bowl is a little bit easier. And you have something that very, very few teams can offer. And that is 3 legitimate outside weapons that just need a quarterback. There are other teams that have 3 legitimate outside weapons, but they have a quarterback. Okay? This is the only team that has a ton of offensive pieces. And then if you add in Brian Robinson and what he did in his rookie year, you've got the makings of what could be a fantastic offense. So yes, I think a free agent quarterback will look at from a very basic level and say, it's an offense that has weapons. It's a defense that's top 5. It's a weaker NFC. Yes, I would go to Washington and see what we can do.
What about things like the offensive line that's being mentioned by Rockman, PNW, and Gus here? The offensive line was kind of not good, to put it mildly.
It's terrible. But you can address that too. It's not like they're going to say, when Washington comes to talk to this quarterback, and we're using Brady as an example, when they go to Brady, they're not going to say, well, this is the offensive line you got, so good luck. You know what I mean? They are going to address the offensive line as well. And that may be the only thing that they address with the money that they have left over after giving Brady $35 million this year, or whatever it's going to take to sign him. Okay, so they will address that. And they'll also need to get a tight end. We know that too, right? Especially if it's Brady. They have to get a tight end, because that's what Brady loves to do, is throw to tight ends. Kind of same with Lamar Jackson or whatever. So, yeah, you'd have to address a little bit. But, again, you start off with weapons. Young, hungry, talented, fast, quick weapons. A bulldozer behind you who can pick up blitzes and who can pick up those tough yards in Brian Robinson, right? And maybe Gibson is not ever going to develop into that guy, but he's a weapon, okay? He hasn't quite lived up to that, but he's a weapon. So, yeah, you look at that and you say, okay, there's something I can work with there.
I think that's fair, and I think for a free agent QB, if Tom Brady wants to come here, that there are some building blocks. They have the wide receivers. The offensive line could be potentially addressed in the draft, in free agency. You got some skill players. The offensive coordinator still has to be settled. We don't know who's going to be the offensive coordinator just yet. They did. Anthony Lynn is being interviewed today, I believe. So, there's some options. We're welcoming back Trev here.
What up?
Coming back from football garbage time. Trev, I've asked the question, is Washington an attractive place for free agents, specifically, QBs, maybe even trade targets, to want to play?
Yes and no. Yes, you have the wide receiver core that's young. Running back room is young. Tight ends, question mark, but that can be fixed, whatever. New uniforms. Defenses, top 10. Yeah, I think there's a huge potential here. No, because the whole sale of the team.
But how does that affect the player?
Well, because you don't really. Some people might not want to play for Dan Snyder. Some people might not want to be involved just because of how Dan Snyder has handled his ownership of the team and how much they have not produced with him as ownership. On
He gone. He gone.
I know he gone. But does somebody really want to go and to come on our team during that process when they could have a potential of, well, this ownership regime didn't pick me. I'm gone after a year, and I want to be here. So like that's the only thing I think holds it back. And then question mark at quarterback too as well is probably the reason why people don't want to come here. But yeah, it's an attractive
non-QB free agent wouldn't want to come here because one, you're obviously not going to get necessarily a quality wide receiver free agency because they already know that this one's stacked. Running back room is pretty packed as well. But maybe an offensive line would want to come here, and maybe more defensive pieces because you said, if you're a part of a standout defense, that's more likely that you might be successful enough to parlay that into a future contract and everything. And in the regards specifically, we said that we weren't going to argue in the video on Monday about Tom Brady. Do you think Tom Brady would want to come here to Washington?
Yes. Why not? Why did he go to Tampa? Because he saw some
warmer. They had a more intact team.
We have a pretty much intact team, except for
offensive line needs some work, Trev.
And then it does. Maybe if he comes, maybe he can.
But you can do that. Here's a conspiracy theory for you, and I don't think your soundboard is working because I think you tried it earlier and we didn't hear anything. But tinfoil hat soundboard.
Oh, I didn't play that one.
Okay. All right, but here's my conspiracy. Washington's taking a little bit longer to hire an offensive coordinator. Could they possibly? I'm asking the question. Could they possibly be waiting until free agency starts so that they could bring in a combo quarterback / offensive coordinator? So they can go to, as an example, I'm not saying this, they can go to Tom Brady and say, Tom, who do you want as your offensive coordinator?
Out of these that we've interviewed.
Yeah. These guys who are available, who do you want to be your everyday coach? Maybe that's what they're waiting for. I mean, they got to wait a long time for that.
That's a long time to wait.
Until March.
By the way, I don't have the conspiracy music button, so I gotta fix that one because that one definitely that one's even more of a conspiracy theory than my Bezos Snyder backdoor deal thing. I don't think they can afford, honestly, Stoner, to wait that long. Until free agency.
Could they be, little backdoor deals? They do that. Right, Albert Hainsworth was signed at 12:01 when free agency started. They didn't call him up at 12 o'clock and say, "Okay, you want to sign $100 million and here's all the deals. Okay, look it over. Okay, 12:01, sign it." You know what I mean? They were obviously doing stuff behind the scenes.
And that Carson Wentz trade came out of nowhere too.
Yeah, but it was in the middle of the free agency already. But I'm just saying that maybe they're talking to Tom Brady right now.
Yo, stop, bro. I'm gonna leave this show tonight like, hey.
For the record,
or Aaron Rodgers.
At QB1, I think Tom Brady would be most excellent to have here, and then build around the pieces and let Sam Howell sit and all this good stuff. That being said, I don't think Tom Brady wants to come here. I don't think, and I don't think he wants to come here. And I honestly, I don't find Washington as nearly an attractive place as you do, Stoner.
I think it's attractive.
I do think for a QB with the wide receiver weapons, absolutely. O-line can be fixed. You have a good running back core tandem back there. If I were a QB, I wouldn't necessarily look to come here. Is some of the mentality and stuff that you've heard, right? Ron Rivera, obviously it's not a hard and fast 2 rushes for every pass type deal. But when you it is this old school mentality. And I don't know a young, viable quarterback, or maybe even an older quarterback like Tom Brady, would want to come here and play like the 85 Bears.
Tom Brady, I think that play action.
He does love play action, and I would love play action too. if we saw it more often and we saw it be successful here. Now Scott Turner's gone. Maybe the new offensive coordinator can do all that. We don't know who the offensive coordinator is. If the offensive coordinator is Zampese, is that going to be enough to sway a quarterback like Tom Brady to come here? No,
not even close.
Right, which goes back to my theory about maybe they're waiting until they can talk to Tom.
It could be that they wait to this legal tampering or do some illegal tampering or anything like that for one of these quarterbacks. But I just don't see it necessarily. I think that we'll find that we have an offensive coordinator here within the next week. Whether or not it's Anthony Lynn who they're interviewing, whether or not it's some of the ones that Pat we want. Shermer. I don't. Pat Shermer, Zampese.
Give me Thomas Brown.
Yeah, Thomas Brown. I don't understand how Thomas Brown left DC. What happened? Yeah. How did you let him out the door? But it happens. The one that I think would be interesting is what Luke here says. Better shot to get Lamar.
Well, he wouldn't have a choice.
He wouldn't have a choice because it would be a trade option. I don't think he has a no trade clause because I think he's still working off of. He doesn't actually have a true contract. But Lamar is somebody who we're going to be talking about tomorrow. So you're going to want to tune in to that video tomorrow. Stoner, when exactly can we expect it?
5 p.m. Eastern.
5 p.m. Eastern. You can see where we rank Lamar Jackson. But the problem with Lamar Jackson as a potential target is that's going to cost you a lot of those draft picks that you might be using to shore up the offensive line and protect your quarterback. So, he might not have a choice, but do you think he would want to come down to 95, 95 and play here in Washington? I mean, obviously it's the best wide receiver group this guy's ever had.
Yes. Yes. I definitely think he would love to come play down there.
Yeah, why not? Especially if they, throw $225 million guaranteed at him, he'd definitely do that. He's getting 225.
Go ahead and get rid of the first round picks because we can fight O-line deeper in the draft. You really can.
Well, would you have to give up first round picks for him?
Yeah, dog. It's Lamar Jackson. He's MVP.
You're going to have to give up first round picks for Lamar Jackson.
No, I'm saying, but he's an unrestricted free agent.
They probably do a tag and trade in Baltimore.
Yeah, so if they tag him, then yes. But if they don't tag him,
what if a tag and trade? But Deron Payne, tag and trade Lamar Jackson, and then find a way to make that deal work.
And then we'll also throw in the next 5 years of our first round picks. I don't care. You give him.
Stoner is going to do whatever it takes. I will say, I mean, if you get a franchise quarterback like Lamar Jackson, I think that there's a lot of things there that then you really do become an attractive target. Maybe not for the wide receivers, but then again, it depends. If you don't bring Roman here, who I definitely don't think they bring Roman and Lamar Jackson. I don't think that pairing's ever going to go together again. So it's going to be. And I just kind of think, I mean, if obviously we said Lamar doesn't really have a choice, and I did want to just kind of throw his name out there because Luke put it out there, and that's teasing for our video tomorrow. What about Derek Carr? He has a no trade contract. Trev, I'm with you. We have a video coming up down the road on Derek Carr, so I don't want to tease too much on that part. Would Derek Carr though waive his no trade to come to Washington?
Yes, he would.
He
would. Yeah, absolutely he would.
He would.
Heck yeah. Again, he would have the best wide receiver core that he's ever had.
It just sucks because the
best
stats.
Wide receiver, but
the stats don't really provide it, but that's because our offensive coordinator didn't know how to use our weapons very well, and we couldn't keep a quarterback for all 18 games consistently. But on paper, we some paper champions for real. We got some names to be some paper champions for people to be like, let's go play. Story franchise, the Hogs, yada yada, nation's capital, yada yada. Come on down here and play, bull. Not Derek Carr, but anybody but him. Come on down there.
I think that I do think again there are parts of this that are attractive. If you're a QB, the O-line can be fixed. Offensive coordinator needs to get settled. Wide receivers are great. Running backs are good. And so that's decent. The defense, the defense is one of the
Yeah,
better
they're
ones in the
young,
league.
hungry.
The
you know.
coaching, I think, is the biggest thing that's going to hold back.
Ooh.
I do think that
I
Ron
think that's
Rivera,
fair.
as a coach, is going to attract some players because he is a
Players
coach that is beloved, right?
Yes.
Mhm.
People do love Ron Rivera.
Oh yeah.
But if you're looking to win, and if you're looking for one of these kind of these new mindsets where the fans, where a lot of our fan mindset is, right? Like you want somebody who's younger, you want somebody who's innovative, you want somebody who you feel, you're going to get paid wherever you go.
Right.
So why not win and be happy?
Yeah.
Then go to a team that's finished 7-9, 7-10, 8-1, potentially is looking at a disaster of another season because
Living in the 80s.
Ron Rivera is there, might not be there at the end of the season. I agree, Stoner. The ownership change isn't really going to play too much of a part in a player's decision. What will, though, is the coaching staff. Now, we have seen it before. A player goes to a coaching staff that they like, that they wanted, that they think is a good fit for them, and then
It doesn't work.
that coaching staff gets fired, and then they're stuck there.
Yeah.
Frank Wright, Carson Wentz, prime example.
Yeah, absolutely.
And so I'm not saying it's not possible that somebody comes here to play for Ron Rivera, and I don't think the ownership part, but I do think that there's some legitimate concern there when it comes to the coaching staff and what you have.
But if you look at, for example, when you're comparing teams that you could possibly sign with, and let's just say you have Tampa and you have Washington, and those are your final two, right? And if Tampa offers you $100 million and Washington offers you $106 million, you're going to Washington, okay? Regardless of who the coach is, regardless of who the front office is, regardless of most anything, you're going for that extra money. Because it's not necessarily just all on the players. These players have a lot of pressure from the Players Association to take the biggest contracts as well, because that just continues to drive up contracts. That has a lot to do with why Lamar Jackson has not signed.
Yeah, he's holding out to set a precedent that
right.
The NFLPA would like to have guaranteed contracts.
That's right. And Lamar would probably have signed for that $180 million that they offered him, but I'm sure the players union got involved and said, no, you're worth more, and you have to lay the groundwork for those who are coming behind you. And that's because that's what guys did before you. And so you have to continue to do that. They have a lot of sway over these guys. The players union does. So again, if you have 100 or 106 and a better situation is in Tampa, you're probably signing with Washington. And that's what it's always going to come down to.
I don't necessarily agree with that, Stoner. I do think, maybe with Tampa, because Tampa Bay is going to have its own questions on whether or not Tom Brady.
Give me a situation then.
Do you think let me find.
Because I was thinking like Arizona.
Okay, we're in need of a tight end.
Or whatever they're called.
Okay, we're in need of a tight end, right?
Yeah.
So let's say a tight end's looking for a spot to go. Washington offers them $56 million, 3 years.
Yeah.
And you have a team like the Chargers.
Okay. With
Justin Herbert, who offers them 3 years, $50 million, $6 million less. So it's $2 million a year. But you're going to go to the Chargers with a Justin Herbert. They've been to the playoffs. It's Los Angeles, a little bit better weather than what we get here in DC. You're telling me that
no, you're not.
For $6 million more, you're going to come here. I disagree with that.
I am not doing that.
There might be 5 guys on the planet who would not do that. And that's guys who have already made $56 million or $156 million. Right? There is Tom Brady, who can go for less because he's already got $1 billion in the bank. Okay. But these guys They are going to go for the maximum money. I'll always go back to Shaquille O'Neal when he went to the Lakers from Orlando. He got like $4 million more, and it was like the difference between like 116 and 120 million. And he went to Lakers because it was more money, and it was an ego thing.
He didn't go.
He was already going to make a ton of money. But
he didn't go.
What these guys do.
He didn't go because Kobe or Phil Jackson was there.
I was about to say Phil Jackson might play a little bit of that.
No.
Championship caliber coach.
He has said it. He has said it. If you want me to send you the clips, he has said it. He went there because he had an ego, and his ego says, "I'm the best player in the league. I deserve to get the most money, and this team offered me more money than this team. That's where I'm going." Okay, that's just the way these guys are built. Who's the free agent tight end for the Chargers? That guy who was pretty good, number 7. I can't think of his
Gerald
name.
Everett.
Everett, right?
Yeah.
I believe he's an unrestricted free agent.
Yeah.
He's going to where the most money is. It doesn't matter who the quarterback is. Okay? He will go play in Arizona with Kyler Murray, who's coming off a torn ACL, before he goes to sign for the Chargers if Arizona gives him more money.
Christian Kirk goes to Jaguars with the same amount of money if Trevor Lawrence is not quarterback?
Yes. Oh, a billion, trillion %.
Christian Kirk got paid a lot more than anyone ever expected. And
Right.
he was going to go there if I were
with a guy who had a horrendous rookie season, who's had what did he have, 10 touchdowns and 15 picks?
Yeah.
He went to where the most money was. Right? That's just I don't know how else to explain it to you. They're going for the most money always.
Okay.
So
Stoner team, show me the money.
So Bezos comes here, we got all the money in the world.
Well, I mean,
they still got a salary cap.
Nah, ain't no salary cap when Bezos in office.
That would be
salary sombrero is what it's going to be called then.
But yeah, I mean, do you think Deshaun Watson wanted to go to Cleveland?
Yes.
Right, with no weapons, with Baker Mayfield already there.
He had weapons.
I mean, he's okay.
Yeah, more than in Houston.
He had a running backs were his weapons.
Amari Cooper.
Quarterback don't want that.
Amari Cooper's not bad.
He's fine. Okay.
I think in that particular case, he just needed out of Houston.
Right.
That was it was just.
But Cleveland offered the most money on a guaranteed deal. That's where you think he wants to play in that cold weather, and for a franchise that's very, very similar to Washington in terms of their history and their inability to have a decent run of
where's he
from and all that. He's from Georgia, I believe.
Okay.
I mean, he's from down south. I don't remember. I think he's from Georgia.
That's a good point, TJ. Kirk also went to the Jags to be the number 1 wide receiver.
He'd go to Minneapolis. I'm not Minneapolis. He'd go to Nova Scotia and be the number 4 receiver for 113 million or whatever it was that they offered. Whatever.
Way more than we. I mean, he had a good year. I still think he was overpaid, but he had himself a year.
I think
he had himself a year. That's fair.
But they're definitely going for the money. I just want to make that clear. But if the money's even, that's what you should have kind of prefaced it with. If the money's even, is Washington a good choice?
Attractive spot.
You
want to answer that real quick? Because I already said that I think that there are more attractive spots.
Oh yeah, for sure. We are an attractive spot, but there's definitely more.
I think the whole Jahan Dotson thing and the emergence of Brian Robinson kind of changed that whole how people look at Washington's the entire organization on the field. And they say, "Oh, these guys are serious about having an offense. Maybe I want to go there and these young guys and move up the ladder with them."
Real quick, did you guys re-sign Cam Sims?
Oh, and we were like, whatever.
He did.
Yeah, good. Thank you. No, he gone.
Yeah. Taylor Heineke, though, Stoner said absolutely resign him. You have to for $40 million on a 4-year contract.
Stoner.
He's lying. He's just
You
trying
gotta
to
be drunk.
He's just tweaking you. No, I'm not re-signing Taylor.
We neither one of us wanted to re-sign him.
All right,
I
good.
brought up Jacksonville as we were just talking about them.
Good on there.
That's a good one. They had Gardner Minshew. Fans loved him. Minshew mania.
Good on there.
You
Yeah.
got Lawrence, and they're like, "Nope, Minshew, you got to find a new place to call home because that's not going to be there."
Yeah.
But yeah, I absolutely just wanted to push that out there. Yeah,
Just checking.
Heineke, thank you for what you've done. Time for you to move on.
Bye.
So we'll see. And speaking of bye, it is time for us to leave here. Don't worry though, we've got some great content coming to you tomorrow. It's Lamar Jackson. We spun the wheel, we hit Lamar Jackson, and we'll talk about him being QB1. We talked about whether or not Washington would be an attractive landing spot today. I guess next week we're going to have to talk about the reality of whether or not Washington can even afford him. Is a whole nother conversation. Like I said, next week we'll be talking about the cap casualties, who's not going to make this roster because they just cost us too much money. Carson Wentz, you're gone. Bye. Thank you. But
after you're staying. Hello.
until next time,
Kuzma's a star.
Oh my gosh.
be a fan.